Welcome to the Meta Magic Hour. This is Zuko. He's our host. That is Jacob.
And he's gone.
Who plays Bordeaux. This is Luke, who plays Phryne. Please quit, Zuko. Thank you. Please quit.
For free, bro? Come on.
Go say hi to someone. Go over there. Go.
Go to the. Why are you stretching? Why are you stretching?
So,
okay.
Last session, a lot of stuff happened and there were no dogs in it.
That's not true.
That's not true.
I tried to get a dog.
You tried to get a dog.
Again.
You could have. There was potential for you to get a dog, but you guys had
And there
to
was a
flee.
dog. He was chasing meat. Yeah, you're right.
You guys had to flee the city.
I didn't really have a
Straight
choice.
into it. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was it like meeting Muggins?
For a second time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, I wasn't scared.
No.
Not at all. Because I knew everyone else said that they thought they were going to die, but really it was just a moment. So I was like, whatever. I'm just going to give in and deal with it. Because I didn't think my character would die or anything in that moment.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Muggins doesn't hurt you. He only harms you.
No, he doesn't harm you.
He has said it both ways because you messed up on at least one of them.
Did I? Go
Honestly,
back and
I'm
watch
going to
it.
be honest.
I don't
I
know.
think he's harmed and hurt people now.
I think-
He's actually pretty cool.
I would say I think psychological damage is a pretty big deal. Hey Zuko, go that way. You're in for go that way.
He's in frame. Aw, buddy.
There we go.
Hey.
So,
Way to make clothes, yeah.
yes, sewing is how you make clothes.
Yes, exactly.
This past episode, stuff happened. It started off as a really kind of a low-key, soft shopping session.
It did.
Yeah.
A lot of us thought it would continue that way. I think all of us thought... that
Especially
this-
Sean.
I think we all thought it would be pretty low-key for most of it.
I mean, I honestly did not think that.
Really? Mm-hmm. What did you think would happen?
As soon as there was mind reading, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun." You'll see. I tried to get my mind read.
I was somewhat wondering if you understood the ramifications of going to the library.
No, because I don't really know either. Like, we talked about it. I know to an extent, but I don't know a lot. And I think I also showed that when I totally messed up a truth check earlier in the episode. Like, I kind of struggled with my
Jacob,
story as well.
on this,
Hello.
did you think that he was going to be Toad folk, or did you think he was going
You
to be
had said I
People?
wasn't. Or you...
No, you as Jacob. Throughout this session, throughout the campaign, was the reveal surprising?
It wasn't so much that it wasn't surprising or that it was surprising. It was just kind
Dog's doing thing off camera.
It was just much more that it was like he went in and expected whenever he was like, "Hey, I died." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I expected somebody that had already passed away to like be like, "Oh, hey, they're gone forever." And but then whenever he wasn't, and it was just like, "Well, this magic thing happened." And I was like a little suspicious. Like I had an assumption that maybe he was either undead. Or, like, again, as in this episode, I thought much more like, oh, hey, he's an evil warlord spirit or something like that. That, like, oh, I just like killing for fun. Like, I had assumed it was something along those lines, where it wasn't like, hey, he's not that he's not exactly this. Maybe he was affected by somebody, like, possessing him or a spirit or even an item that had been really, like, deep down in him that had been saying something along the lines of, like, no, you are doing this, but, like, he had been fighting it. So, that was my assumption much more. Not that he was like, haha, I'm not actually a toad, I'm a frog. It was much more like, something just seemed off. So, that's why I did the insight check at the beginning of the episode, was just, do I believe this? So.
Also, none of your assumptions yet have been proven not true.
This is very true.
He is actually an evil frog, possessed by an evil warlord spirit.
So let's go with what we do actually know.
Okay.
What we know is Phryne died.
Yes.
We know that Phryne was brought back. We know that before he was brought back, the king did ask him questions. Asked his body questions. And the great irony of how questions can be asked is how questions can be answered.
We found that out with Sean.
Yes. So the king asked, Phryne, why didn't you try and save my daughter? And Phryne says what he did on the battlefield, which was, I tried to sacrifice myself for her. These questions. Then we know Phryne wakes up, So, this is a question for you. You were there. I don't know if you've seen yet. You awaken, and the beautiful woman from the court, she starts saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?" Mm-hmm. These questions. What do you think about her?
Well, my thought is she's a hidden ally we haven't yet discovered. I know her, but I don't know who she is really. So I view that she's someone that I'll run into again to either figure out how to get through this, to understand the war, because I don't really understand how I started a war truly. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't really know too much about myself.
Right.
Because of our hag friend.
Yes, and that is true. You would know because you were there at the table. It seems Phryne doesn't have any memories. He now seems to be chipping away at one. Mm-hmm. But in the fact that he himself does not have memories, he does not know much more than now that he was Lucaporn, and a witch changed him to be a toad folk. And you have lived how long as this toad folk now?
Been a toad folk for 150 years. So I was found 150 years ago, just kind of bambling up and down my body. I was uncomfortable in it, and so there was a celestial who kind of discovered me and was like, "You're entertaining, I'm going to take you in my wing," and then kind of ended up becoming my father figure in the series. And so that's kind of my journey and why I'm loyal to Y-Walk as well. And so I've really just been an employee of Y-Walk for 150 years.
Okay.
We got a great pension plan.
Do you think with Y-Walk, do you think they're devious or deviant with the teleportation mishaps?
No, so I think Y-Walk has people in it. I do think that there are bad actors in it from other companies or who are just getting money on the side to mishap teleport valuable people or things,
So you trust
kind of
in the company, just not the people.
I trust the leader of it. So.
Okay. And this is the first time you've been on Talks, so going all the way back to the beginning, mm-hmm. from the beginning through now.
So episode 0 unrecorded.
Episode 0 unrecorded to now.
Mm-hmm.
It has been almost one thing after another since you were left. How does Phryne feel about this great change in life?
Well, so there's a psychological change in Phryne. So toad folks live to be about 150. And so the reason I've quit working, or I was no longer working under Seamus at 150, is he was viewed me as a son in a way and doesn't want to watch me die. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of sent me off to go die, and I'm just exploring life on the last year of my life, doing whatever. So I'm really before gaining memory was really trying to help everyone around me, set everyone up. You'll see I don't care about my money, always giving it away or doing stuff with it. So I don't really have a plan for the future. I'm just trying to set everyone else up around me. And so now that I have regained my memory, I think that I have things to think about. Because I don't really know. I still don't know much. So
no.
I'm not really so much thinking about the future. I'm just trying to figure out the moment right now. Because the moment's so surprising and new to myself as well. So I don't really. But I do know that in the beginning, I really was just trying to help everyone around me. Even though often helping others turned into over-exaggerating the help I gave and hurting people. And then creating sworn enemies inside the team. But yeah.
So, Bordeaux.
Yes.
With all this happening,
This is in what?
Everything. The library. Okay. You were in the library. This has happened to Phryne. You saw the wizards immediately begin freaking out. Mm-hmm. What was your headspace from that point on, seeing him taken away from you, seeing you guys locked in a room? What was Bordeaux's thoughts?
The initial thoughts while we were still in the room were along the lines of hey, we've already kind of been in a spot where we've been surrounded and everybody has basically crossbows and arrows and all these things aimed at us. Don't mess up. That's why, again, at some point I was let me just sit here and count how many fucking people are around. And as a joke, I sat there and actually counted 42, like in our fake room in our set. But that made me realize, like, oh, this is something very big. Mm-hmm. And my thought was, well, running's not going to work. Fighting absolutely isn't going to work. And just sitting here and not exactly, like, letting it happen, but waiting for things to transpire. And so as, like, when everybody got blinded and the whole room basically went pitch black, even in that moment, it was much more like, hey, I know this is something very, very big. And the ambiance and the feeling in the room, again, I had already said I thought that he was, again, maybe some warlord or something like that, like, oh, hey, now we have, like, this good spirit that we can use to either capture, fight with, or use something like that. Because, again, especially after the line of the war has begun, I had assumed it was much more along the lines of, like, hey, we have a leader, we have a fighter, we have basically a great warrior or something along those lines. And then whenever they were just like, all right, cool, we're going to take him. Still, like, I'm not going to fight 300 men. Like, I fought 3. That went okay. And then whenever we finally, like, made it to the actual room, it was much more like, hey, don't leave. Because, again, if we even try to make an escape attempt, I know there's going to be people right outside. I now know that there's probably 300 guards on the beck and call at any moment. Hey, go look for these people. So, the windows are bolted already. All these things like that. Like, I think Ashley's idea of basically, hey, like, do that. I even thought of, well, what if I wrote down something and sent it to the teleporting bag, and even if I had to pay money for it, I can get that back out. But then again, Mommy
Peone.
Has been telling me don't use it, and so I didn't want to do that also because, hey, then you're gonna spend $500, like 500 gold, like stuff like that. So again, it was much more like let it transpire, and that's why again when you're kind of like, so nobody's doing anything, huh? Nobody's gonna.
Well, and as a DM, one thing I try not to do is take away player agency. I want the players to always have the freedom and ability to do whatever they would like within the realm of possibilities. This is one of those moments where...
Been a slave quite a bit for that to be true.
You've been a slave?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't a slave, but not by the DM.
Okay.
And that's where it was another player who did this to you. See, I try not to be the one to enslave people too much, but the problem was you go to a librarian, an ancient man who has a vast wealth of knowledge.
One of the wisest people on earth, basically.
And, well, one of the wisest that this king can at least pay.
Mm-hmm.
He's being kept alive for the sole reason so that others can scour his mind for knowledge. So that his mind, his knowledge is not lost.
Yeah.
And then he sees Lucapores are real. And I would equivalent this to you're in the White House and someone realizes that you're a leprechaun. The White House would be locked down so quick, your head would be spinning. And people are like, this is an unequivocal proof leprechauns are real.
One walked into the White House.
Yeah, holy crap, we're locking down the place. We're shutting it down. And that's one hard thing because you have to have player agency, but you have to have things realistic. And I'm thinking, this king, these wizards, they immediately all know this. They're sharing a mind. You can tell they were teleporting. The king somehow alerted. And it's full lockdown. We got to get this guy. But the thing is, you don't know why.
Yeah.
Yet.
I still don't know why.
Right. Nothing has been said about why. It's just you're very valuable. Do you have any ideas on any of that?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the war is going to be something along the... I know that your deities in this world are important somewhere in the world, so they've humanized or humanoided and become in the world. So I think that my existence, in a way, is going to prove that there might be a way to fight the gods or something, or fight back against gods. Or I know there's a group of people who are in favor, and there's a group of people who are like, hey, we hate them, they don't really exist, they're just powerful people, let's go kill them. So I think that the discovery of my existence is going to pit the world into pro-god armies versus non-pro-god armies, and then mischievous bunches in between.
Okay.
And that is what I've thought of since the episode.
So, with this event happening, you guys winding up back in the desert, by Muggins of all people.
What a bro.
What's that about?
Muggins?
Well, just tell us.
I think Muggins is a good actor. I think he's a good character.
Well, Luke plays him. I think he's great at Muggins.
So what do you think Muggins is doing? He's shown you many different sides now. He's
at least trifaceted because he has his interrogator side. He has his, hey, the axe dropped. Hey, here's my business card side. And then he actually has the, we're going to get you the heck out of here, basically, side. And so he at least is, again, a multifaceted character that even, again, if it wasn't just like, hey, he's just a funny torturer character that Luke happened to think up on a Tuesday, like, that would still be a funny character that, like, oh, hey, haha, Muggins, but, like, the fact that he did that and then has come back and is now, again, we don't even know where the hell he is, threw us in a bag, locked us away, and we ended up in the fucking desert again, like, because of course we did. With that, it is kind of like, well, not exactly what good is he, but, like, we don't even know his role in all this. We don't know why he's doing what he's doing. So that's the hard part with that, is, like, is he doing all this to, again, he saved us from these people, but is his side actually like, hey, we're on the side of good and we truly believe that, or is it just like, get the heck out of here, we don't want any of this around this business? So at least that's what I believe.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys have any questions for me first? Let me ask you that from this session, because a lot went down, a lot happened.
Am I going to be looking at my backpack?
There's a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you disappointed that we're gonna jump away from team building immediately back into hostilities again, which I've noticed kind of doesn't allow us to explore our chemistry together, because the way that this world's set up, death is likely. So what are your thoughts? Because you were kind of like, all right, finally got them in a safe space, they're done killing things and being tired and exhausted, but you know what, I'm just going to add points of exhaustion for the heck of it and then send them off here. So what are your thoughts about that?
So there's never a for the heck of it. The points of exhaustion, one, Phryne was receiving those because he is in an anti-magic box, and the very core essence of Lucaport is magic. That is one reason people seek them out. What both of your characters will know from the history of the world is many people think that they're a myth, similar to how we think leprechauns are a myth. But they're known for having the purest blood, for performing rituals to empower others who use magic. So being in that box was a way to slowly kill you.
And so if I didn't hit it with a giant rock, he would have died.
He would have eventually died inside.
Damn, okay.
Eventually. Would have taken time.
Yeah.
The other two who received exhaustion, that's only going to last a short period, and that is due to being in
a low oxygen environment.
A low oxygen environment for so long, because those holes only have an hour of oxygen for one person.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 8 or
and there were
6.
6 people, so that's 10 minutes each, and you guys were in there for a very long time, as who knows what happened, because someone, and that's the thing. It's interesting how it happens on the DM side, because it's cause and effect. So it's like, okay, well, the librarian finds out you're a Lucapor. He tells the wizards, the king's notified, they lock down the castle. They want to immediately pull every bit of information from you. Where are you from? Where are your people from? How do they find your people?
Are there more like you?
Exactly, all that. They want to pull that information. But then for some reason that you guys don't yet know, there are people like Muggins, people like the woman who you met when you first woke up, who for some reason are on your side. The woman, of course, she saw you as a Lucapor.
Mm-hmm.
And told you, hey, revert back.
Yeah.
Don't do this. So it seems that while it is a secret and a myth, it's one of those best kept secrets that some people do know. Ooh. Now, as far as camaraderie and character moments, I say you can always have those. Have those wherever you want. Have those in the battlefield. Have those in the desert. In fact, there were a few moments, like Bordeaux had a great one with Dewey. Dewey had one with an NPC as well. I say always, there's never a time you can't, except for actually in initiative.
Well, even then, in your actions and initiative, there possibly can be camaraderie built up there too. Like again, the opposite of that with like the fact that Sean's just like screw this and is running, like that is a different type of camaraderie slash like story building slash the opposite of team building basically. But again, you're still even having those moments in literally the heat of battle where, hey, this person might die. Hey, this person probably won't die. But like, again, jumping in and saving Dewey, like us coming in and making sure that you don't get just taken away into nothingness basically and crunched for the rest of your life. Stuff like that. Like it's not exactly like we're gonna go get a drink and have some soup together or whatever. Like it's not like a little funny moment where you always talk about soup in a funny way. But like those can build up and then also be crumbled during combat. Like I feel bad for hitting Dewey for 12 damage because that was a lot.
That was a lot.
Was it a lot?
It was a lot.
Dewey says it was a lot. Yep.
And so again, it's like, it's when we're in the middle of the desert, and of course all of us are under the stress, and that's why again, whenever you were like, you see sand above you, all of us I think just collectively sighed. But whenever you do have those moments, it is kind of like, hey, we're now in this together again, even though it might be hell for the next 2-3 hours of having to worry about the desert, worry about even the vibrations of our feet, stuff like that. But
Well, so now where you are, and you know where you are on a map.
I've basically been here before, yes.
What are your plans? You're right back to the Fields of Fire, which was very lucky on Ashley's rolls on where on the map you guys landed. I just was like, hey, D12, we'll see where on the clock you land. Landed the perfect spot.
My thought is we've got to get to an ally of power, and then the group's got to decide collectively, do they want to take the burden on of traveling with me? Because if the group's not ready, I mean, we're pretty low level, realistically. So if the group's really not ready for that burden, I think the best decision would be to be like, hey, friend, we're going to need to get away from you because we can't handle this. If you think about all the armies, if that's what it seems like, if the armies are coming after us or wanting us or something, we don't stand a chance.
And you think there are vast armies coming after you?
Well, we just need a slight small army because some of our members don't fight. And we're not great at fighting yet. So
How do you feel about some of those members not fighting?
you know what? I like it.
Call them out.
No, I like it.
They're
I
not-
like
they're
it.
not gonna watch
The
it.
thing is that
They probably won't. Call them out. They won't watch
no,
it.
here's my thought. I like that they don't fight. I wish that when they didn't fight, rather than just say I hide and do nothing, they would give more story of what they're doing
Trying to get them to stop.
when they're not fighting. Rather than, yeah, I'm watching you. Rather than like, oh, I'm hoping the toad dies right here. I'm so excited for this. Like, picture rather than me having to be bait to save Bordeaux's life, even though I'm helpless right now, if Sean or Alexander is throwing a rock at my cage trying to make it rattle, right? That would be freaking hilarious. Like, oh, don't take that guy, take this, and he's making
Right.
my cage shake. Like, I think that would be fun.
Do you think you and Alexander are ever going to be friends?
I think that I'm willing to be. I'm trying to be the friend, in this. I do not think we'll get there.
You don't think so?
No.
Now, let me ask you this. Phryne as a character,
Yes.
how long, and also Bordeaux as a character, both of you, how long would you two as characters put up with a character like Alexander who is actively not helping the group?
I mean, at the before we got just teleported where we are now, I was worried that Sean's character was actually going to leave. I was afraid that Alexander was just going to be like, all right, cool, bye. And then either he makes a new character that's actually like, hello, I want to travel with some murderers. Like, I thought maybe that was going to be the case. But again, now that he's also been wrestled back into the group, and he still kind of seems like, well, what's even the point? That's why I hope that he hangs around, and I hope that he is like character starting to kind of starts to like smooth over and like let bygones be bygones, because again, at the end of the day, we're all working together because that's what we have to do. We can't just like, hey, I'm just gonna go walk off north. Okay, I'm gonna go east, south, and west. All right, cool. I'm just gonna dig a hole here. Like, you can't just do that in D&D because then you're just, all right, 10 minutes of we're gonna talk about the guy who goes north.
We had a bit of that this session as well.
We did. Where it was three different stories, and some of them were very serious and others weren't.
Yes.
But I hope that again he can not exactly see the light, but much more like, hey, he realizes like this is that we're all in this together. So, and just start growing again, closer and closer. Because again, besides Sean, like, again, I think that Cyrus' character, even though he was very worried about the desert, is starting to incorporate well. Momi, Momi is starting to very much incorporate very well and start to like, oh hey, I can heal this person. Hey, I can do this thing, and like start to meld in. But we just got to try to get a good solid base of basically, I think, a goal. So now that
and I'd put up with Sean or Alexander doing nothing in combat indefinitely until he does an action to hurt a team member. If he's passive, you can't force someone to fight, right? If he's passive, we just got to deal with that. Because some people are, I put my head in a hole and hope it all goes by. And that's just part of it, right? But as soon as he starts doing things that hurt the team, like stealing from Bordeaux, trying to trick Bordeaux, he's actually now attacking the team even in a financial aspect. So I'm completely cool with him being worthless in battle until
it starts to harm the...
Yeah, and misthrowing a rock I don't count as harming a team
Right.
member. It's more like...
Who would ever harm a team member on
We
accident?
do have some questions for you guys. One...
Is that why my phone's been buzzing this whole time?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. Why was Phryne so reckless if he had such a big secret to keep?
I didn't know my memory. I was looking into my... I wanted
Take that.
to know my memory.
He had no... You just woke up one day as a Toad folk.
Yeah. 'Cause
And I will say to the audience, how does this work with player agency? What Luke told me in the beginning is he said he wanted to be a Leucoporin, but he did not necessarily want to remember the total past. He gave me a few things about how he wanted the character to be very light, and then he made his Toad folk character. So that's where I said, okay, you don't want the full memory, you don't want all that. You just know vague characteristics of how you want to be as a Leucoporin. I'll take care of that. We'll talk about that later. So once he regains his memory, I get to kind of share with you some of your past. But you woke up as a Toad folk. You didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here going, oh, shoot. I'm not a Toad folk. I am. I'm not. I don't really understand what I am in a way, right? Because it's not something
You just
I care
know what
about.
you've... In traveling as a Toad folk, you've just heard the lores of, oh, they're leprechaun-like people.
Yeah, so when they were like, you got to give memories up, I was like, do I get to hear the memories? Heck yeah, let's go do this.
Exactly.
So I was actually going to get my memory back. I think I actually asked that question before I went there is, hey, I kind of want to get my memory of what I've lost. I was totally baiting the team about the lost explosion on the ship and the memory. So that way they didn't truly understand the memory I was going to get was not that. It was the previous memory.
Right. And then you were able to at least get a little bit more of a memory. Mm-hmm. How do you think this is going to be trying to gain back your full memory? Or do you think Phryne wants to with what little he's seen?
Right now, I think that as you learn memories, I don't know. Once you learn memories about yourself, let's say you dislike who you were, and you actually didn't historically dislike who you were, but you start disliking who you were. I don't know. I have to think through that. Because if I really start disliking who I am, right? The old witch turned me to someone. I have to check this because my wife is pregnant. Okay. Sorry.
It's good. She's not having the baby right now.
Yep. So, what was I saying? I got distracted. I apologize.
You're talking about if you have memories and you start to realize you don't like who you were.
Yeah. I gotta figure out what those memories are, right? Did I kill my own family? The hags revealed that I was an ugly person on the inside. And so, why did I stab that little boy? The little boy was kind of threatening to kill me in a way. So it's actually not 100%.
No, the first time
I'm
you
just
saw it,
shanking this kid. But the little boy was like, I'm killing you too.
Exactly. The first time you saw it, it seemed like you were just truly out as an evil character. Then you saw, oh, maybe there was a bit of a defense mechanism to it.
Yeah, the kid shoots arrows at me, so I go stab him. The part that's a little bit odd is drinking the blood off the blade and giggling about it. Then you're kind of like, all right. Okay, I wasn't just a defenseless kill, so we'll see. I don't know the memories I'll get, but I think that I'll continue to explore the memories, and then I think what happens is do I live this new life or do I adopt my old life? Is the question I'm gonna answer as I learn more.
Wonderful. Let's ask another question. This one's one a bit more for the DM. This question is, how did Phryne turn into a Lucapor this time whenever he's passed out before? Well, here is how that works. We'll reveal a bit of behind the curtain on the mechanics. The witch truly polymorphed him into a toadfolk. He was a toadfolk for all intents and purposes. Well, much like the Princess and the Frog, the witch cursed you to look outwardly as you were inwardly. Your attempt to sacrifice yourself for Lily is what actually broke that curse. But then you were no longer protected as always being toadfolk. Now you have the Lucaporan stats, which is if you go down, you return to a Lucaporan. And now every time, if you go down, you will revert to a Lucaporan form. So with that, knowing that now, if you pass out, you will revert to Lucaporan, is Phryne going to be more cautious in battle?
I think realistically, until I truly know how much danger it is to the group being Lucaporan, not yet. I do think one thing I picked up is I need to get that ring.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, I know Alex has it, but Phryne doesn't know that, so I need to get it from Alexander.
Will you still turn into the Toadfolk as you have the Lucaporn ability to once a day alter yourself and perform a polymorph to turn into something else for the full day? Are you going to continue as the Toadfolk?
Well, that's something we'll have to find out in the next
He can
episode.
be green instead of red.
Ooh.
We'll have to find that out in the next episode. You know, it would be interesting being a part of the Red Toad Warriors if there's no Red Toad.
Well, that's what we can say, that it was heard wrong, that it's actually talking about red, like little toesy woesies. And
So,
like,
Well, red toenail polish.
yeah, red toad.
since we're going with such serious questions, one for you.
Yes.
Why didn't Bordeaux sell the hat?
Because
It gives you a charisma bonus, and charisma is not necessarily a stat necessary for a barbarian.
it's not, but also it is genuinely the fact that I have now spent probably 2,000 gold on random bullshit. And knowing that even 4,500 gold is only roughly 9 uses of the hat. And then even when I put all the money into the bank account, 1% of that goes away also. And so in Jacob's mind goes, I'd rather just have a hat that has a little bit of a buff instead of 9 more uses of bullshittery. So, because again, like I could put in money and I could be like, you know what, let me shove into this jar of pickles and let me do this thing and this thing and this thing. And like, aha, cool, I withdraw 10,000 gold, but at the end of the time it would still not be like something that at least could be helpful in some circumstances.
Question from Luke to Jacob.
Yeah.
Because Luke loves how Jacob is using this bag of holding. Is he going to use it till you're broke?
Till I'm broke?
Yes.
Well, I remember it specifically in the contract.
Yes.
You have to send me this Word document, by the way.
Well, I can only send you what you currently know.
Yes. But I thought I remember that if it drops below a certain amount, that it automatically locks it.
It does.
And so, I don't know when that number is, because Jacob also forgot. So now he knows that it's somewhere between 70,000
I think it's 20.
and I thought it was 20, but I wanted to make sure if it was 20, 30, or 40. And so I was like, from 69,000 down to roughly 40,000, I'm good. I can do whatever the hell I need to.
How do you feel about these gnomes and their banking system? What's more corrupt, the teleportation system in this world or the banking system?
I don't think it's corrupt. I just think they freaking wrote a great contract.
Somebody just also didn't read it, or they tried to read it and rolled a nat 1. So, but I think that in that, like, I've thought of like, well, screw this. My thought was even if I'm not about to die in the desert, I'm just gonna put this thing and just fill it full of sand and just let all the sand go into the bag to fill up their vault full of sand, because then at that point it would just be like, haha, take that, even though it's going to cost me for however much whatever the hell goes in there. But
I like it.
just at least some form of like, hey, screw you. Like, even thought of, what if we do shove a man into a vault? What happens? Does he land in a big pile of gold and a turkey? Like, where am I? And then if I need to draw him out, it's 500 gold. Like,
So, I would say your two characters seem to be getting along pretty well. This episode. You guys had a bit of a rocky beginning,
yes.
but it seems this episode you guys have gotten along a bit. Where do you see your character's future going?
Well, I've noticed my character gives a lot of love to everyone's character. I don't get any love back, it seems.
No.
No, like, Bordeaux in moments will do what's best for the team, but Bordeaux's never like, friend, let me help you out. So, it's interesting. We'll see. I honestly, I think our team is super selfish. I think part of that's because everyone spent so much time developing backstories that everyone's focused on their backstory and trying to develop and play their character rather than the team. And so I think that's that. But I think we'll be fine. So
I think that, again, it's when we first went into this session, when I watched back the episode 1 recently, it seemed as though, again, we don't know anybody else in the group. Like, again, I know, oh, hey, there's a toad person. Oh, hey, I know Losip. Oh, hey, I know there's a small child that stole my shit. Like, again, I was upset at the moment through XYZ thing. Man, you hype as hell.
Zuko, come here.
Like, I know that whenever you first start off, like, the tendency for most D&D groups is, hey, everybody sitting at the table, everybody immediately is friends because you all know each other. And, well, you don't want to be mean to this person for the reason of, oh, well, even though we literally started this campaign in a battle and then we were the last two, and technically we probably should fight, we're friends and we don't want to make this awkward, so let's just work together instead. And I think that when we first started off, there was some of that kind of, again, with Losip not trusting certain people. Again, Bordeaux being the only person that didn't really have a session 0 with somebody else. And so not really having anybody else to trust, and without saying backstory things, I think that the way that he has had to trust people prior means that he is very much, again, even like agreeing with Luke, is like in a very selfish way of survival. And so, again, when it does come to the wellness of the group, or the wellness of, again, even the quote-unquote greater good of the group, if that generally doesn't mean sacrificing one person, if that means himself or somebody else in the group, he would take that. And so it's also very hard because in the first few episodes, there were kind of some times where it was like, hey, there's a lot of messed up shit happening. Like, surviving, barely making it out, and even, again, trying to have moments of, hey, let's please work together, and then shit just going extremely awry. And so whenever we do have those moments, it is very hard to go directly from one of those moments where it's like, hey, we're all about to TPK. Because that was a genuine worry a few episodes back of, we're all just going to pass away and die, and this will just be the end of it. All right, cool, make new characters. To go from that to, cool, we're in a safe area, because your fight or flight is still going. So I think that whenever you have something like that, of like, you're very worried, like whenever Phryne jumped into my bathtub, was that last episode, or was the one? Yeah, the last one. Like, when he jumped in, Jacob's response was generally just like, oh shit, like, this person is now back alive, because out of character, you were like, oh, I'm going to make this new guy, and he's going to have armor, and he's going to be doing this, and this, and this. And so I was both shocked from the fact that you had even drawn in your notebook, I wish you could show it, like, you had drawn in your notebook even, like, a set of armor. And I was like, oh, damn, he's going to be like a cool BA knight, like a badass knight. And then you're just like, haha, Phryne's back. And I was just like, oh, there's a naked frog. Like, that's kind of what went through my head. And so I know we were all having fun and things like that, but it is still going to take time to, like, when I asked you, like, hey, do you remember, like, killing the captain and getting this whole ship basically blown up and stuff like that? And you're just like, no, I don't remember. And so even if you had not, like, even if you were like, oh, yeah, I remember, like, that was great, I'd still kind of be like, that's not very good. But when you're kind of like, no, I don't remember, it was still kind of like, well, maybe he is growing and learning from the experiences of, let's not just go around and murder people again. And I think we've all grown a lot in that way. But is that Zuko?
I think he's saying it's potty time.
It's potty time.
And you guys know what that means. Potty time means we ask another one of these questions. So, Phryne seems to feel like he's on the outside a bit. It seems some of the other group is worried about Phryne. Mm-hmm. There was a bit of killing earlier on in the sessions. They're worried. Phryne He killed Wilhelm, the tied-up bard. When the others asked him not to kill the bard, he killed the captain, who was incapacitated. He seems to be quick to kill, and now that's built a bit of resentment and anger between some characters.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's revealed he's a Leucoporan.
Mm-hmm.
Is he worried some of these characters are going to try and just say, hey, why don't we capture him? Why don't we use him?
Well, so most likely character wanting to use him. Sean.
What?
Because his family is royalty, a king, but not something major from what we've learned. So his family could look at, oh, this is a chance to further our family and be legitimate. So Alexander, Sean's character, is probably on a exposed storyline the most realistic to have an immediate benefit. Bordeaux's not a risk because Bordeaux's not magic, and Leucoporans boost magic. So unless Bordeaux's got a magic girlfriend somewhere that he's really trying to impress,
Does he?
No.
Okay.
then I don't.
He just has 6 kids.
So I don't think he's too concerned about that. I don't think he's concerned about Dewey as a individual, but Dewey's weird background with being in some non-religious type group is going to put him at odds because he believes there's no God. We now have a healer who's very into a God. And then we have the Leucoporan.
What does he feel? Are gods real?
Oh, totally.
Phryne believes gods are real?
Yes. So, Seamus is one of the closer tiers to God level. And so I feel like through that, Seamus is the individual who owns Y-Walk. So through that, I think he's very much like, oh yeah, totally. So, totally. My new word for this game. But,
Well, it can't be anymore. You got to.
What about Bordeaux?
Leucoporally.
Does Bordeaux Leucoporally believe in gods?
Without getting into backstory stuff, don't want to give away one of the major
If someone
things
came
with-
to proselytize him, and they said, hey, I worship the gods, do you? What would he say?
Bordeaux would probably be along the lines of like, not the way that you all do, because again, it's very,
In
very
his backstory.
different.
That's why I'm asking what he would surface level answer.
That's what I'm saying. Like, not in the way you do,
Okay.
and even with, not culture, but like the way that Stoneskins are like raised and grown and things like that is like, it's not even normal for most of them too. And then there's an additional layer also of feelings and not exactly hardships, but just things that have gone through. And so not trusting most of magic or even the deities. So again, just like, I have a hat that makes me feel more confident and technically lets me control a ship that's useless. Like, hey, I'll use that. But again, like even when everybody else is just going like magic missile, like bang, 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 guiding bolt, like he's just kind of like, okay, cool, bang, and just hit someone with a rock because in his mind it's just much easier just to walk up and realize like, oh, hey, nobody's killing this thing, stab, like hit it with a hammer basically. So
Now, what would Bordeaux have done if the librarian would have tried to get into his mind?
I didn't want to go in the first place. That's why I was like, everybody's going. I don't really want to just sit here in the room because I knew that Sean wanted to have his own space and time during that. But I'll go, but like I didn't know what the heck. Technically, nobody really even said anything along the lines of, yeah, he's going to go in there and just make it bad. Like I thought if I just stayed there and just...
What would he have done if the librarian started entering his mind?
I think he would have probably been, first off, confused because I don't think he would have probably had an experience like that prior. And then after the confusion had set in, not exactly panic, but just worry for his friends and family.
So,
kind of in the same way, actually, that Phryne is like in his backstory. Now that he knows, like he wanted to know about his backstory, and again, like they want to use that information against Phryne now. Bordeaux was worried about that from the same way of like people had heard about this thing and they know, hey, this is a specific thing, but besides like the worry of anything that he has seen and has transpired already before. He didn't want anything like that to come back up from his own past.
So, with what you guys heard, out of character, not your character shoot to, you got to hear a little bit about Dewey's backstory, a little bit about Cyrus' backstory. What's up with that?
Oh, you know.
I do.
You hope to make it.
What do you guys think? You got to hear little clippets. Sounds like Dewey got to watch one of his brothers burn alive.
Yeah.
Syra got to be a part of torturing a fey creature. Out of character, what do you guys think?
Well, out of character, I think that Dewey's gone through some hardships and doesn't know how to mentally deal with them. And so he's kind of calcified his emotions to deal with it rather than think about, I really watched my brother die. He's seeked something that on the outside makes him harden himself. But at least from the character and how he played him in the cave, has some emotion. But sometimes when he talks and he gets quiet, he gets serious about how there's no meaning and let's all put acid in our face or something. But then sometimes he'll try and say something kind of rude to hold someone accountable for an action. So I think it's just a defense mechanism personally to not deal with emotions on Dewey's side. On Syra's side, I think that Syra secretly just wants to be a really cool sorcerer or wizard and is trying whatever he can to do to get power, but doesn't act like it. I just think he's power hungry.
Okay. What about you?
I think that on the Dewey's end, I think that, again, kind of like what Luke said, that he has been through a lot. That, hey, we've all have our backstories and things that we don't want to get brought back up. And especially, again, out of character, knowing the fact that, like, hey, you've seen one of your own close family members die in a horribly tragic way. And that might explain as to why, hey, point A of, you see these people, you see a funeral, you see all these things as procession, you see a lot of people, again, gathering together, and then not even knowing if those were even interconnected with the fact that his brother was burned alive into where he is now. And so, if him seeing those two things and other things that led to the point where he is now, where he has decided, hey, basically, screw the gods and the deities, and I'm going to forge my own path forward. Like, I feel like there's a connection there that we don't know about because, again, we won't know till we get there, or if we ever actually go meet, like, his family or his tribe. And for Syra, I feel as though there must have been something, like, maybe the fact that he is, again, out of character, an empath, and he can actually feel people's emotions and kind of get, like, a little bit of a deeper feeling when people are doing things. If he does have these feelings of, like, hey, I could torture somebody, kind of like with Muggins, of like, if he was torturing this Fey person, like this Fey-Ree, and like, or I guess that actually is what it is, like torturing this Fey, like knowing their emotions and knowing exactly how to press their buttons. And so, like, not exactly linking it to, like, that he's just, like, secretly the super evil guy the whole campaign, like, at the very end, it's actually Justin, or Syra, sorry, but, like, that he would know exactly which buttons to press and which ones to, like, finally get the most information out of. And if he's just going on this specific thing, like, he probably has his own journey that we just don't know about. So that's at least my thoughts on that one. On both of them, I guess.
Now, since we've been at the castle, we've had a few kind of hooks, I like to call them, open up to follow. Mm-hmm. What is the team going to be doing now?
Well, I thought about if I wasn't in the steel cage and this was discovered, I thought about letting the monster eat me because it would just end that storyline. And then everyone would be like, there'd be no more evidence, and these guys would all be like, get to go on their journeys. I feel like now I've really jacked the storyline, and we're kind of forced to follow it unless I can find a way to hide. So, I'm also looking forward to how the Bard song changes our story as we get to watch Alexander fistfight people as my dreams. I don't know what other directions we have. We got some treasure to find. We have treasure to find in the desert or mountains somewhere.
Zuko.
We've got
Zuko.
Zuko, you hype as hell.
Come here.
Calm down, buddy.
Come
down.
here.
Your tail hurts.
We have people off screen fighting a dog. Zuko.
Stop punching him. I'm kidding.
He rolls a higher initiative than me.
So we have
Yeah.
basically have the friend storyline of Luke pouring Hours of War, right? What other storylines do we have to follow? There's treasure somewhere in the desert or mountains.
Multiple treasures.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of treasures.
There's the treasure that's really, really far out that Sire was trying to track down. There's the treasure that, what was it?
Zuko, come here.
That was the one that the captain and his adopted son that they were going after.
Yes.
That one's again more of a myth, but again we had heard rumblings and rumors about that. There's again we got to find Isabella, right?
Yes.
Gabriella.
Yep.
Gabriella. We've got Phryne's backstory and to figure out what the heck people are going to do with that, and then even again everybody's own backstories and thoughts and feelings about it too. Like, well, I don't know. I know what my own justification and means are for why I'm doing what I'm doing, but again, we don't know what. Again, Ashley's is just kind of like, hey, it sounds like very hippie. Like, yo, what's up? I'm just going to be chilling with y'all. And then we have two little backstories that have kind of leaked out of this person has tortured fairies and hurt fairies before. This person over here has had family die and then now has lost their beloved pet. Like, so are we going to go help? Do we go back to his family to like retrieve another Gallifanique? Are we going to help
Gallifalquine.
Gallifanique? You can't just say yes and then correct.
Sorry.
Or like again,
It helps that it's a mixture of Latin and Greek.
Sure. That's why I called them galleys. Again, helping Phryne figure out more like what is he doing in this world with his newfound knowledge. Like, if we get to a teleportation pad, are we still going to help try to track down Gabriella and like help solve that as to just do like to help and to again get back in the good favor of the king and at least maybe help somebody that could be lost basically forever and maybe like upset a whole like conspiracy almost. Like there's lots of things that we could do, but it's going to appear like whenever we get to the basically that we could have all these things we planned for all 6 days, and then finally whenever like Tuesdays when we're like, all right, cool, we're gonna start this thing. Like, do we start it and then out of nowhere it's just like, you know what? We're just gonna go farm. Like, it really depends on what everybody's mood is that day. Like, we don't really know. But again, I think you have enough hooks laid out, and you're like, please grab one of them. Please, any of them are fine. Just grab one of them, and we've just been staring at them for about 6 months now. So just waiting for them to actually like get hooked, like do something.
And the king, in a way, kind of is in his reaction as might have burned the team on helping him, because no one was treated well. The moment I was discovered, they were all immediately locked up and like, hey, you're no longer friendlies here. You know, they weren't beat up or anything, but it's not like they said, hey, we're gonna lock you up for safety. Here's a nice meal. It's like bread, water. You're nothing now. So. Are we still in favor of that king, you know, or is there other kingdoms that we need to go help? And I feel like right now there are so many stories out that I feel like as we go down one story, there's going to be rabbit holes to pull us off the stories constantly. So I'm curious how we stay focused on a story and get siloed to completion, or if we just get halfway done them and then, you know, some lady in a red dress shows up and we get thrown in a bag and teleported out of a room or something.
When would that ever happen, though?
When would that happen?
No. But now we do have a bag that can at least store stuff that doesn't cost a lot of money.
This is true.
It is. And maybe we could put my bag in there so I never touch it ever again.
You can just empty your bag in it.
Yes, you should put one bag into another.
It's almost like that already happened.
So, any questions for the DM?
What are we doing next episode, Luke?
Roll a d20.
I don't have
what's been your biggest curveball? Where you were like, I am not prepped for this scenario and I've got to win.
Everything.
One, you allowing your mind to be read.
Oh, I was ready.
This session. I really didn't think that would happen because and one reason is off episode there's been a request to have a chill session. So I'm giving them a 100% chill session. 100% chill.
Shopping episode part 2.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, never mind.
Straight into combat with a giant bone creature, yeah.
That would be one. The second would be the gnome captain at his death.
Okay.
The main reason is because he had what you guys now know to be an extremely valuable orb. They could hold many spells.
How many was it? Do we remember?
Was it 6?
You do not know. You know that it at least held 6 spells with ease.
Okay.
And that was another one. Because without revealing too much, I thought that would be more of a long-term MacGuffin. that would lead down the story. And then whenever he was paralyzed, I was like, oh, okay. Well, he can still maintain concentration. And they just killed. It's like, fuck, he's killed? He loses concentration? Oh, shit. And I almost wanted to be like, retcon, never mind, he didn't have it. But I couldn't because he already showed the item. He already spoke about it. And the item will still come into play in the future. Not that particular item, but the way these items work and what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the 6th Dragon Ball out of 7. And so like now that there's only 6, it's like, well, now we can't summon the dragon to save the world, and we just screwed ourselves over.
Right, you can't summon the dragon. Maybe you can summon, like, I don't know, like the beetle.
Yeah.
All right, what's been the biggest kind of hint that you've dropped that we've totally just missed?
Can't say, but it's a big one.
There's not one that's already been spoiled completely and you've been like, oh shoot, I didn't even see that.
I would say it'd be the teleportation from the beginning. Whenever you guys first landed in the desert, no one immediately was like, oh, this is wrong. Why were we sent to the wrong place? Because right out the gate, that was you were purposely sent the wrong way. And of course, we all know that with teleportation, you can be sent not far enough, things like that. But you were sent the complete opposite direction, far away, to an area where slaves were. And those that have a backstory where they could have picked up on things, it was just like... I was like, oh, that's cool. But then I introduced some more slaves. And I really thought the slave backstory would have been grabbed faster for the story. And now you know that from the king, they have been abducting royalty for a while. That was one that I thought would have been latched onto. There are other more subtle ones, but that would be the one that I thought.
What has been your favorite moment so far of the whole campaign so far? Has there been one that you're like, oh, whenever, I don't know, when we all jumped off that cliff in slow motion, like, that was epic?
My favorite moments are the moments where everybody has a reaction of some sort. One, it would be whenever the scorpion showed up.
Yeah.
the looking at you and Sabi, you two just... that would be one. Also the ice cream. The revelation of ice cream. I think
that pissed me off. That pissed Justin off a lot. Just, you got ice cream? Okay.
that
was so good.
That moment, those only because of the reactions that it got from the group.
Actual visceral reactions.
Yes, I also Phryne jumping over the wall into Bordeaux's tub.
Yes.
Because at that point, everyone expected Phryne to be dead.
Dead and a new character.
Yeah, so whenever... And you're like, does he look like a frog or is he a frog? And I could tell you're sitting there thinking like, did Luke do that thing where he killed Phryne but brought back like Corinne, his brother? And you're just sitting there like, what is this?
Don't you knock over my drink.
So I would say that one.
Okay. Did you have one?
Well, one of my favorite moments is, and I think I can share this because she's dead, is whenever I spent all of my money paying everyone to tell her good job.
Okay, I will say this now because she is dead. I think one of my favorite moments was in session 0 before we started playing live. You paid people to boost up Lily because you saw a self-esteem issue.
Yeah, so she had a self-esteem issue. I got a bunch of money because we had finished one of our missions for Y Walk. So I was like, he was like, what do you want to do with your money? And I was like, I'm just going to spend it and I'm going to pay everyone at the Field of Fire to tell Lily that she's awesome and she did a great job. And
the best part of that is she comes to me secretly and she's like, hey, I'm going to pay everybody to pretend like I'm a super cool person. That's why so many people were coming up to her because both of them, and she was doing it because she's like, I want them to think I'm really cool.
And she admitted it. She admits it later on that she paid someone to boost her.
She's like, fine.
And I was just like, this is the greatest cover ever. She will never know. that I
Nobody
also,
tell her.
And so
Nobody.
The Lily, you're doing a great job from the strangers. I was like, God, that's been great. That's been a running joke. You're doing a great job.
I've heard you're doing a great job.
That was probably one of the best off the table moments.
Yeah.
Because it was between sessions, and I asked him like, "Hey, before we
What do I
start
do?"
session 1, you're gonna have 4 days at this festival. What are you doing for 4 days?" And both of your responses like, "This is great. I'm gonna have fun with this."
Just like you're gonna have fun with that song.
I cannot wait to write that song.
I can't wait till you like call up all of your like music buddies and like, all right, cool, we're getting the band back together. We gotta make a ballad. We walk into a town and you just hear off in the distance and Luke just like pulls out a boombox.
I intentionally was putting stuff in there that I think is gonna be tricky.
I hope we're able to make a good
like how
song.
you still called her a fish person, even she's like, I'm not a fish.
Oh,
and you're like,
right.
oh, she's not a fish. Oh, wait, she's still a fish.
Well, that sadly wraps up our talks.
Yep.
Zuko was saying it's time to play with a tennis ball.
It's ball time.
It's ball time.
It's time to play with your balls.
Call to action.
I did the last one.
That's where we look at the camera and say things.
Yeah.
You have both taught me about a call to action.
Well,
Kiss your dad square on the lips.
hey, for those of you joining us for not actual episode material, we appreciate you guys. We enjoy questions. Send us questions. And share us, because right now, we can only think of the questions that we can generate. So we look forward to you guys challenging us. And
Please.
we look forward to you guys sending us maybe character names or anything cool like that, because...
Send away. Like, share,
Also,
follow, subscribe.
If you happen to have any cool things that you think about the podcast, like ways that, like, again, comments, concerns, please email them directly to Luke, either one. As well as if you actually do have any fan art or things like that you want to share, be sure to just tag us on any of the social medias again. So just share away, have fun, complain, say we're all the worst, whatever you want to do. So, but it helps the algorithm. So be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Hate comments are great.
Tell your dog I love them.
No.
Okay. This has been the Meta Magic Hour.